Good morning, everyone. Time now is 9:01. I will call the Lake County Planning Commission hearing dated for October 24th, 2024 to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Danae, may I get verification of legal notice?
Yes, Madam Chair, all items have been verified.
Okay, moving right along for approval of the consent agenda dated October 10th, 2024. Any discussion before we move to approve those? No?
I move to approve the minutes from October 10th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting.
Second.
All in favor, or motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we will open public input. This is an opportunity for any member of the public to speak on any concerns that or items that are not listed on the agenda today. Okay. Any hands in our Zoom room? Okay, no hands in the Zoom room. We will go ahead and close public input, and we will take up our first timed item at 9:05. Time now is 9:05. We will begin with our first timed item. This is a public hearing for consideration of a proposed general plan conformity, GPC 22-11, and mitigated negative declaration, IS 22-28, for the Wolf Creek Bridge Replacement Project. Applicant, Lake County Public Works Department, location Quad Benmore Canyon TN 14 North, R07 West, Section 11, Universal Transverse Mercator Zone 10. And then there's the coordinates, but I'm not going to read those. Good morning, Laura. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners.
Let's,
My name is Laura Hall.
Mike, let's just get you, we can move it closer to you and make sure it's on. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
That's great.
Yes, thanks. Good morning. My name's Laura Hall, and I'm Senior Planner with the Community Development Department. This morning, we're going to be reviewing GPC 2211, IS 28, which is located in the unincorporated community of Spring Valley. And the agenda will include a project or permit request, project description, site description, project analysis, cumulative impacts, and recommendations. This is a vicinity map, and it shows the project site with the red star there. And this is page L1 of the site plan. It shows an overall view of the project. And this is the area of potential effects map, and it shows the construction staging sites and temporary easements in the yellow, and the water crossing in the yellow right below the one easement site by the creek or the bridge. Before the project can be approved, the Government Code Title 7, Division 1, Chapter 3, Article 7, Section 65402 requires that the county determine if a proposed action is consistent with the general plan before it can be taken. And the project description, it should be noted that if removal of mature oaks cannot be avoided, that mitigation measures Bio 1 would require that a mitigation agreement be developed between the California Department of Fish and Wildlife for replacement of oaks at a ratio of no less than 3:1. And it also should be noted here that due to the close proximity of a residence to where the construction will be occurring, that mitigation measures noise 1 and through noise 6 have been incorporated into the project. The first 4 mitigations would require limiting construction operation hours from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., muffling devices on the equipment, utilizing construction methods or equipment with the lowest level of noise and ground vibration, and turning off idling equipment. The project analysis included determining whether the proposed project was in compliance with the following regulations. The replacement bridge would be wider to comply with the current American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials standards for local rural roads, including 9 feet travel lanes and 2 feet shoulders, plus crash-tested vehicle barriers. A 5-foot walkway will also be proposed on the north side of the replacement structure to accommodate school children accessing a nearby bus stop. And construction of the bridge would comply with CAL FIRE's SRA 4 fire safety regulation standards for roads effective 1/1 of 2020. During construction activities, emergency responders would be able to use an existing well-established low water crossing, which is directly adjacent to the existing bridge and appears to be regularly used route for vehicle traffic. A water quality technical memorandum was completed by Caltrans on June 24, 2016. Recommendations for protection of both groundwater and surface water will be implemented as mitigation measure WQ1 through WQ9. All required local, state, and federal regulations for water quality would be implemented for this project. The project would comply with the following Lake County ordinances, specifically by it would require any permanent right-of-ways requiring the taking of land. Construction would be temporary and mitigation has been incorporated into the project for the sensitive animal and plant habitats. Therefore, the project complies with Article 14. The bridge replacement would result in reducing hazards and damage resulting from floodwaters in compliance with Article 36. Following completion of the bridge replacement, all areas would be cleared of construction materials and equipment, and erosion control would be implemented with native seeds and mulch applied to the ground. There would be no expansion of the bridge into the riparian corridor. Therefore, the project complies with Article 37. Since there's no proposed development of single-family homes, Article 10 really isn't applicable in this case. The project would comply with all conformance standards of Article 41. The initial study found that the project could cause significant impacts on the following environmental areas: air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, geology and soils, hazards and hazardous materials, hydrology and water quality, noise, transportation, tribal cultural resources. However, the mitigation measures applied impacts are reduced to less than significant. Staff includes the following comments received from the HCs, and tribal comments. AB 52 was sent out on July 8, 2022, and again on July 27, 2023, and no responses were received from the affiliated tribe, and there were no public comments. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission take the following actions: adopt mitigated negative declaration IS 2228. Can you put that down?
Just go back one slide, you'll be fine. There you go.
I'll just start over here. Adopt mitigated negative declaration IS 2228 for GPC 2211 based on the findings in the staff report, and approve general plan conformity GPC 2211 based on the findings in the staff report. And that is the end of the presentation, and the applicant is here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Any questions for staff or for the applicant before we open up public comment?
Just one clarification. The staff report refers to the construction potentially beginning in the spring of 2019. So I think there was just a correction that needs to be made there.
Yeah, that was based on the original project description, and the project's been in the works for a while now.
Do they have a tentative start date at this time? An updated one? You're welcome to approach the mic, please.
April 15th of next year would be the anticipated start.
Okay, you can go ahead and state your first and last name, and then you can repeat what you just said into the mic, please.
Yes, my name is David Bingham. I'm an assistant engineer with the Engineering and Inspection Division. We plan to construct the bridge next year, starting as soon as we're able to, April 15th. However, there are still a number of things that we need to get finalized for the project. So unfortunately, it may end up going into 2026, but we're going to do our best to get it built next year.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Any other comments or questions for staff or the applicant?
Yeah, I had a question. So regarding TCR, so there were no tribes that were interested in having any comments for the project, but there are a couple of, there's TCR 1 through TCR 3 regarding tribal cultural monitors. Would that, if they don't respond, does anybody have to take, does someone still have to do the monitoring?
Yeah, those are...
Into the mic. Sorry, you have to just speak into the mic so that everybody else can hear out there.
Those are standard mitigation measures that are added, and yes, they would have to comply with all the mitigation measures.
Okay. And if there's no affiliated tribe, how does the applicant plan to get the cultural sensitivity training? Is that just on their end and they have to take care of that?
This project also includes NEPA. It's a NEPA CEQA. So on the NEPA side, I think they would have something in place for tribal training.
We're happy to help them find the appropriate tribes as well. There's a process to it. Additionally, we do not have standard mitigations. However, you will see those mitigations listed frequently because with our rich tribal and cultural resources, they are frequently appropriate. But we do assign or add mitigations only as appropriate per project.
Thank you, Director Turner. I will go ahead and open up public comment for this agenda item. Anybody wishing to speak is welcome to approach the podium. If you are in the Zoom room, please raise your hand and we will unmute you. No one approaching the podium in chambers, and there's no hands raised in the Zoom room. I will close public comment and bring it back to the commission for action. Anybody?
Prepare to make a motion.
Okay.
I move that the Planning Commission adopt the mitigated negative declaration IS 22-28 for the Wolf Creek Bridge Replacement Project, bridge number 14C-0049, applied for by the Lake County Department of Public Works, located in unincorporated Spring Valley in Lake County, Quad Benmore Canyon, T14N, RO7W, Section 11, UTM Zone 10, along county rights-of-way and temporary easements on adjacent properties to the north, based on the findings listed in the staff report and dated October 24th, 2024.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I move that the Planning Commission find that the general plan conformity GPC 22-11 for the Wolf Creek Bridge Replacement Project, applied for by the Lake County Department of Public Works, located in unincorporated Spring Valley in Lake County, Quad Benmore Canyon, T14N, RO7W, Section 11, UTM Zone 10, along county rights-of-way and temporary easements on adjacent properties to the north, is in conformity with the Lake County General Plan based on the findings listed in the staff report dated October 24th, 2024.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Please note that the applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides for a 7 calendar day appeal period. If there is a disagreement with the Planning Commission's recommendation, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. The appropriate forms and applicable fee must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on or before the 7th calendar day following the Commission's final determination. Our next timed item for 9:20 is a public hearing for consideration of a proposed final subdivision map SD 24-06 for finalizing Village 2 Phase 1 of the commercial development applicant Valley Oaks LLC and consultant Rick Tooker, location 18761 Hartman Road and 18196 and 18426 South State Highway 29, Middletown, lots 24, 36, and 51, APNs 014-260-24, 36, and 51.
Good morning, Maria
Morning, Director Turner.
Community Development Director. The project planner, Max Stockton, is attending a Subdivision Map Act training along with a number of our planning staff today. So I told him I'd cover this one for him. Valley Oaks is a name that I know we are all very familiar with. It's been with us as an exciting mixed-use project in the Middletown area since 2006. You've seen it most recently. In the last few years, the Board of Supervisors in 2018 did approve a tentative map that included this project that you have before you today. our processes in Lake County are such that when the applicant or the developer gets an approved tentative map, it includes a number of conditions to work on. And so they have been working assiduously to satisfy those conditions. After they get to that point where the county surveyor is comfortable that the conditions have been satisfied, then they apply at the Community Development Department for a final map, which is what they did this past summer. So we do have in the packet the agency response from the surveyor's office that the conditions have been certified. All that is before you today is to recognize or to acknowledge that the project is similar to what was approved in the tentative map, as well as certify that the conditions have been satisfied, and send it on to the Board of Supervisors for final approval. There is the reason why it's before you today is because there's a line on the cover sheet of the subdivision map that has a signatory spot for the chair of the Planning Commission, which is that certification that you'll take action on in a moment. The representatives for the project are here as well, should you actually have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Director Turner. Would the applicant or anybody else like to speak on behalf of the development? We always like to hear from you, keep us in the loop.
Sure, I'll be very fast. Thank you, Chair, Planning
Morning.
Commissioners, staff. Rick Tooker, I'm a land use planner for the applicant, Napa Valley Partners, and I'm here with Fletcher, who you all know as well. Just really quickly, a terrific staff report. I think for context, just to add, you'll recall from seeing me and us for a while here that the key issue here is with the lot on which the grocery outlet is located is what ultimately is the action to final map with the board and with your recommendation. The capital that's used to leverage that property is then rolled into the next phases. So that's why we've kind of been going through this process. I started it in November of 2021, but there is process, and we get it. There are conditions that we need to meet. There's post-COVID environments and staffing and craziness that's been occurring for some time. So I appreciate to Mireya and to Nicole their patience with me, and we appreciate your review of it. And if you have questions, we're here for you.
Thank you so much. Any questions for the applicant before I open it up for public comment?
No.
All right, thank you. That being said, I will go ahead and open public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on this item is welcome to approach the podium. If you are in the Zoom room, please raise your hand and we will unmute you. Okay. No one approaching the podium in chambers, and I don't see any hands raised in the Zoom room. We will officially close public comment and bring it back to the commission for discussion or action. And I will say, it's nice to see that we had this previously. There was a couple of things that had to be changed and revisited. So to get this back in front of us in such a short time frame is good to see.
No questions, just a comment, and I'm prepared to offer a motion.
Okay, Commissioner Hess?
I'm just glad to see we're at this point. It's a process, and I think of it that way as ongoing, and I'm glad we're at this point in the process.
As well. Thank you.
And I move that the County of Lake Planning Commission find that the final map, SD 24-06, for the Valley Oak subdivision substantially conforms to the approved tentative map and conditions imposed thereon, and authorize the chairwoman to so certify on said map and transmit the final map to the county surveyor for approval by the Board of Supervisors.
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Please note that the applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides for a 7 calendar day appeal period. If there is a disagreement with the Planning Commission, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. The appropriate forms and applicable fee must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on or before the 7th calendar day following the Planning Commission's final determination. Thank you so much. And Our next timed item is for 9:35. We have a little bit of time between, so please bear with us, and we will take our timed item at 9:35. I'm showing about a 9-minute difference right now. Okay. All right, welcome back. It is 9:35. We will bring up our next timed item. It's a public hearing for consideration of major use permit UP 23-05 and mitigated negative declaration IS 23-10 for construction of an ag forest wood processing bioenergy facility with supporting infrastructure. Applicant, Scotts Valley Energy Corporation, location 755 East State Highway 20, Upper Lake, APN 004-010-04. We will get our PowerPoint project set up. And I do believe, Laura, you're presenting. One moment. Okay, you are correct. It looks like I have the wrong parcel number on my agenda. Let me just clarify. Just to be clear, Laura, is that the correct parcel number, or is the one ending in the 010-04?
It's the 01004.
Okay, so then is that parcel number that you have on there incorrect?
That is incorrect.
Okay, let it be known, and for the record, the correct parcel number in reference is APN 004-010-04. Thank you for the clarification and for noticing that. Okay, Laura, the floor is yours.
I think Maria's going to open it up.
Okay, and let's just bring the mic closer to you if that's a little bit easier.
There we go.
Just
Okay.
a certain clarification. Throughout the staff report, a Donahue facility was mentioned at 8605 Bottle Rock Road. That information was taken from the project description, but had since changed. So just for clarification before Laura gets started with the presentation, wood chips at 8605 Bottle Rock Road are there as a result of a PG&E fire recovery project. That is no longer a wood processing facility. So there are chips that will come from there to that could supply this project, but it is not an ongoing facility. So it would not continue to provide chips after these chips are gone. The property owner is trying to give them away to anybody who will take them. And additionally, on page 5 in your staff report where it's listed that Donahue facility is a main customer, that is not accurate either, according to the property owner. So, but those are the only items that are indicative of an outdated project description.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for that clarification.
Good morning again, Commissioners. My name's Laura Hall, Senior Planner with the CDD Department. And this is a major use permit, UP 2301 IS 2310 for Ag Forest Wood Processing Bioenergy Project in Upper Lake. The agenda includes a project or permit request, project description, site description, project analysis, cumulative impacts, and recommendations. And here, the project site is shown in blue, but I would like to call out in the staff report, there is a map, the vicinity map in the staff report shows the wrong parcel number, but this is the correct parcel number. The site is located on the eastern edge of Upper Lake, approximately 550 feet before the Running Creek Casino. And this is an aerial project or site map that shows the boundary of the 5-acre parcel site, which is approximately 1,000 feet from Highway 20. And the map's it's sideways, but the project site is down toward the bottom of the map, south end. And the red arrow here shows approximately the location of where the biomass facility would be located. And as shown on the fourth bullet point on the slide, with exception of the foundation for the large water tank, after the lease has ended, all infrastructure will be removed and the site will be restored to its natural state. Also important to note is due to clearing forest projects and reducing greenhouse gases, this project helps to implement the following state plans: the California's Wildfire and Forest Resilient Action Plan of January 2021, and California's 2022 Scoping Plan for Achieving Carbon Neutrality. This slide shows the syngas process steps, which includes, first, the wood biomass is dropped into an airlock chamber through a solid slide gate. In the bottom of the chamber, there's also a slide gate that is open once the first chamber is full. Wood then enters an electronically heated and sealed and insulated chamber that is thermally heated with no air to release the gas embedded in the biomass. Syngas is then filtered and cooled to make it ready for use in the power generation, and the biochar is then sent to a holding container.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
If we could go back to that slide?
Yep.
That's just a,
Oops.
it's like a stock photo. That's from a different,
Yes, that is an example of the operation.
I'm just curious, though.
in
This shows
Walnut.
an open, you can see the sky there, and
Yeah.
so the actual, what's that keeps popping up?
Yeah, this is actually from the Walnut Grove,
No,
California.
no, I understand that, but that's not what the non-permanent facility
No,
structure
no.
would look like.
It would be totally covered.
Right.
Yeah.
And the size of those various pieces of equipment, does that conform to the size of the equipment that would be here in Lake County, or is that a different scale as well?
That would be a question for the applicant. I'm not sure on that.
Okay.
You can, we'll give you an opportunity after the presentation to clarify.
Oops.
Oh my God.
And this is the project description. It should be noted that the project site has been designated as prime farmland and is under a Williamson Act contract. As a result, pursuant to CEQA guidelines, a land evaluation and site assessment was completed for the project and concluded no significant effects would occur. The project analysis included determining whether the proposed project was in compliance with the following regulations. The project would result in hiring 3 to 4 local employees, so it would comply with the economic viability of Upper Lake. The proposed project would result in reducing forest fuels throughout Lake County and therefore would reduce wildfires, so complies with this. The project would comply with the following Lake County zoning ordinance, specifically by producing bioenergy, which complies with Article 4 under Article 27. The biomass facility would be set back 1,000 feet from State Highway 20 in compliance with Article 34. The project would comply with Article 37 with mitigation measure GO1. And finally, the proposed project is an allowed use under the base zoning district, so it also complies with Article 36. The initial study found that the project could cause potentially significant impacts on the following environmental areas: aesthetics, air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, geology and soils, hazards and hazardous materials, hydrology and water quality, public services, transportation, tribal cultural resources, and wildfire. However, with the mitigation measures applied, impacts were reduced to less than significant. The following comments were received, and consultation occurred with tribes and concluded on the same day of June 11, 2024. The following comments, public comments included air and water concerns included air and water quality, noise, smell, truck traffic and safety, trash, drainage, wildlife watershed and species flood, night light, the current condition of the parcel, leasing of the parcel, reduction of property values, and location to schools. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission take the following actions. Adopt mitigated negative declaration IS 2310 for major use permit UP 2305 based on the findings in the staff report, and approve major use permit UP 2305 based on the findings in the staff report. And that is the end of the presentation, and the applicant is here to answer questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, staff. Will the applicant please approach the podium? And if you could give any clarification to Commissioner Hess's questions in regards to the size of the mechanical machinery we were looking at versus what might be used at this proposed site. And Commissioner Hess, did you have any other concerns? I apologize. You just wanted to kind of reference.
No, let's start there. I do
Okay.
have a couple of questions.
Sure. Please be sure to state your first and last name.
Commissioners, good morning. My name is Tom Jordan. I am the staff to the Scotts Valley Energy Corporation. I'd like to hand out some papers so I can address Commissioners' concern. There's actually more copies than you need. I think there's one for Mireya too. You're going to need one more. Yes.
Just a moment. Sure. Is this the green sheet that we already received? Okay. Just bear with us as we are just receiving this. It's my understanding. Yeah, the public is concerned about not having a copy of this. We can definitely supply some copies.
One for Mireya? Yes, sir. Did you give it to her? No. Okay.
Ruby, would you mind going over to the admin office and asking them to make a few copies using budget code 2702? Thanks.
So if we could probably start with your question. If we could put that slide back on the screen.
Mr. Jordan, if your response specifically refers to this document,
Page 3 of that
then
document.
I think we should wait until copies have been made for the public as well.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Thank you, Ruby. Thank you for being so patient, everyone. And now that you have what we were given in front of you, we will allow Mr. Jordan to continue. I believe you were referencing to the page 3 of the packet that you gave us.
Chairman, correct, that is what I'm referring to. So if we could go back to that slide, if that is possible. If not, it's in the staff report, summary report on page 6. We can you look at it that way as well.
Staff, if we can bring up the PowerPoint. Yeah, the photo of the machinery. And then share the screen just so we could have that as reference as well. And then you can just click through until we get to the photo. Right there. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for bringing that back up. So this site is actually our field testing site and represents the type of equipment, most of the equipment that we would be using at the wood processing campus. The Artist gasifier is about 8 feet high in height, and it's about 12 feet long in height, in length. So from a perspective, it is not a huge industrial site or a huge industrial equipment. That is the equipment what we would be using at the Upper Lake. We may have 2 of those because of the bit of a change. The biopass feeder bin is you can see comparable in size to the Artist gasifier. It's a little larger. It is sitting on a podium type arrangement because the wood chip is dropped from the bottom, fed to the end. You can't see it, but there is the input gasifier. There's a hydraulic or a vacuum pump that brings the chip up to the top, and it's dropped into the Artist gasifier at a regulated pace. So it's just not dumped in, but it's regulated and goes through the Artist gasifier where it is heated, not burned, as we do the same technology we're using at Red Hills that I think you may recall. This is the same technology, the same equipment. The wood material that is in the gasifier is heated to about 600 degrees Celsius. It breaks down to the syngas. The syngas goes over to the compressor. Where that green arrow is about where the biochar at that point comes out and drops into a bucket or into a container. This is a test model, so it's not a huge bin. It is a 55-gallon drum that we're dropping it into. It's not there at the moment. The syngas goes to the compressor. The why I showed you page 3 is here we're using a microturbine, and at the time when we developed this, microturbines were available on a used basis, and we wanted to buy a used one, and so that is a microcompressor. What we're using at Upper Lake is the one change from that microcompressor is that page 3 is a linear generator made by Mainspring. You can see the size of that. Those posts are about 4 feet high. And I just received this information yesterday in terms of what I asked for in terms of compression. They showed me that picture as well. So that is about the linear generator is probably the largest of the size of the equipment we're using. But if you go back to page 1 of that document, you can see that we are talking about air quality and noise that is produced by the linear generator. I'm not sure where to go from. I can sit and answer questions that you may have.
I think at this time we will. We thank you for you answering our question. I'll have you sit down. I will officially open public comment and give the public a chance to speak, and then I'll give you another opportunity for a conclusion. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. While we have the applicant up here, would you like to ask him any other questions before we open up public comment, or did you want to wait?
I can wait or ask a couple now. I think the two I might ask now might involve staff input as well. If,
Okay, yeah, then let's address those.
you know, we're passionate about Dark Skies Initiative and maintaining that, you know, as a steady standard. And I didn't see anywhere in the staff report dark skies mentioned. I saw a reference to downcast lighting. But I would like to ensure that the Dark Sky Initiative parameters are what we refer to in the staff report rather than just downcast lighting, because dark skies consists of more than just the downcast. And then there was a reference in the staff report to this non-permanent structure and other equipment being taken down when the lease expires. Why would the lease expire? I mean, why would this go away after a certain amount of time?
Is your mic on?
The parcel was purchased by the county as
Right.
part of the flood control, and they give out up to 15-year leases. So this one was going to be in between 10 and 15. They didn't know exactly, but it would be, everything would be removed after, at the, 10 to 15-year end of the lease.
I guess what I don't understand about that is why once this project over a period of 10 or 15 years is well established and underway, would it just come to a halt, or would all of this activity be moved to another part of the county, or?
No, I think it would all be taken down and everything would be returned to its natural state, because that would be the end of the lease. I have not heard that they would do anything beyond that.
But it wouldn't be the end of available woody biomass.
No,
Correct.
the woody biomass projects are intended to go on
That's what-
as long as we have woody biomass.
So we could do a
to take care of.
renewal at that time?
Yeah.
Or like an extension at the end of the 10 to 15 years?
My understanding, well, the lease agreement is with the Department of Water Resources. This project is within the Middle Creek Restoration Project, so it could be that and I'm just hypothesizing or guessing, it could be that the lease period is to reevaluate priorities at that time. But it does not signify a lack of interest in ongoing mitigation for wildfire hazards. Additionally, if I could add, Commissioner Hess, the condition number 2 in aesthetics in the draft conditions of approval does include AES-2, outdoor lighting shall be restricted to the processing facility and shall be directed downward so as not to illuminate adjacent areas. All lighting being proposed shall conform with the IDA dark sky approved fixtures.
Thank you, Director Turner. Absolutely. Commissioner Chavez, anything before we give the public an opportunity?
I'll wait to ask questions.
Okay, thank you. That being said, this is the opportunity. I will officially open public comment. This is anybody's opportunity to approach the podium, and you'll be given 3 minutes to speak. So you're welcome to come on up, and then there will be the sheet there where you will fill out your first and last name. And I do appreciate everyone taking time out of their Thursday to come here and share your concerns or questions.
Are we ready?
I'm ready if you are, and just be sure, don't be afraid of the mic, and just be sure to state your first and last name for me, please.
My name is Tim Chiara. I am the chairman of the Western Region Town Hall, which has jurisdiction over this area. So, and I'm going to read this. The Western Region Town Hall is a California Municipal Advisory Council established under California Government Code Section 31010, which states, in part, the Board of Supervisors of any county may by resolution establish and provide funds for the operation of a municipal advisory council for any unincorporated area in the county to advise the board on such matters which relate to that area as may be designated by the board concerning services which are or may be provided to the area by the county or other local governmental agencies, including but not limited to advice on matters of public health, safety, welfare, public works, and planning. Unless the Board of Supervisors specifically provides to the contrary, a municipal advisory council may represent the community to any state, county, city, special district, or school district, agency or commission, or any other organization on any matter concerning the community. Western Region Town Hall has been in operation since 2017. We have endeavored to engage the local population in their community affairs as they relate to our county and its operation. In order to consider proposed projects within our jurisdiction, we require access to Planning Commission items. We believe we all would like to see more citizen participation in the decision-making process, as witnessed by such projects as the Local Area Plan Advisory Committee. Neither the Planning Commission or Board of Supervisors can have that participation if the municipal advisory councils are uninformed. We understand that local government methods are constrained by many factors, and we appreciate the efforts of our many dedicated public servants. We believe that any project that affects any county locality should begin and end with the participation of the local population. Local expertise and experience can be an unmatched resource that is far superior to any non-local experts. This is why MACs are formed. Involving our lifelong residents and generational families represents an unparalleled opportunity to foster confidence in our governmental institutions and their operation. We urge the county departments to take advantage of those opportunities. Specifically concerning the proposal that is before the Planning Commission today, the council must express its disappointment at the way that it has been presented to the Upper Lake community. This project has been in consideration since at least 2021. At no time in that period, to our knowledge, has the project been presented as anything other than a completed proposal without any input from the local community. There are many concerns that others today will address. We urge the Planning Commission to consider those concerns before approving the project as it stands. We further urge the Board of Supervisors to require proposed projects within the Municipal Advisory Council's boundaries be introduced to the local population for vetting at our regular meetings. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else? Yeah, sure. Feel free.
Hi,
Good morning.
my name's Judy Cox, and I'm...
Judy, let's wait till we get to the Mac. Here we go. And if you'd like to pull it down, you can.
Member of the, and I'm short.
One-
Member of the WORT thing. I attended 3 meetings that have been talking about this project, and I know...
I hate to cut you off, but can you just state your first and last name?
Oh, Judy Cox, C-O-X. I live in Whitter Springs.
Thank you.
And I know we're conservative when we approach some new idea, and we listen to the pros and the cons, and I feel that these pros and cons really haven't been addressed in any kind of objective way about this project. And biochar, to me, is a big deal in terms of a soil amendment and what it means and what it can actually do. So I kind of focus on that. And so from the 3 meetings about this project that I've heard, I feel as if I don't know anything. And one of the things that Tom might do to improve its presentation is to have some kind of a visual representation of this, of, you know, a drawing or rendering of what the actual project is, about what these boxes are going to look like and where they're going to be on the land and what they're going to look like from the highway and what they're like from the creek. In other words, we don't have any kind of dimension in our understanding of what this project is. So I can stumble through this letter I wrote you. I have attended 3 Western Regional Town Hall meetings regarding the biochar plant proposed for Upper Lake. I don't feel Worth, as a Municipal Advisory Council, MAC, has been adequately informed about this project from objective sources. I found out on my own that the proposed biochar project is leased for $1 a year from the county on watershed protection district land. The incursions of diesel big rigs and the 5-day-a-week, 11.5-hour-day operation of a pyrolysis plant near a creek that wildlife depends on is not consistent with my image of appropriate land use by a watershed protection district. And then I read a little more that it is flood control, but I don't think putting, yeah, you got the picture. So what is the impact? There has not been a representation from the county to present the project. There has not been discussion of land use in terms of the general plan. We have not been told how the pyrolysis will be monitored to abate toxic contaminants that may be mixed with natural inputs. If the material is coming from the Forest Service, what are the effects of fire retardants and herbicides that may have been sprayed on the wood being processed? If this project is benefiting the Forest Service, why can't the project be sited on Forest Service land? How does the University of California Extension evaluate the use of biochar as an agricultural soil additive? The June Edible Mendocino magazine mentions 3 examples of ag use of biochar. It would be helpful to hear about them from those people, because this is a serious matter, I think, which has long-term manifestations. I would feel a lot better if there were a discussion by scientists of the pros and cons of biochar as a soil additive. If it is a good thing, it would be a significant breakthrough. While when I see piles of vineyard prunings and falling trees, I see the need for a portable, non-polluting technology that could move from project to project to integrate debris on site. Generating energy at the same time would be a double benefit. Also, I feel we are obligated to support the tribal enterprise and to promote climate-wise innovation. The need is here. The issue is trust.
Your 3 minutes is up, so if we can just wrap it up.
I haven't attended every meeting, and my information may be inaccurate. I can see today there's more information than I was, but we would like at Wirtz to please have more input from the county. And I only made 2 copies because I didn't realize. So
That's completely
are.
fine. Thank you so much for coming up and sharing your comment with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, and as soon as she makes her way, we can have somebody else come up. Good morning. Please be sure to state your first and last name and write it down on that piece of paper. And the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Barbara Morris, and I live directly across the street, across Highway 20 from this property. My husband and I have lived there since 1976, and historically my grandfather used to own 755 East Highway 20 and Zeno Jones, and he grew hay on that property. Is it possible to bring up the site map?
I'm sure we could. Is it on the slide possibly, or on the PowerPoint?
And the reason is because in the CEQA report, I see only one mention of a very important waterway on that property. It runs north to south through our property under the, okay, here we go. And so from Highway 20, I'm just north of the property, and all along the western border of the property is, they call it, it's only listed on the drainage map of the property, but it's a intermittent stream on the county records. It's a broken blue line. But for some reason, it's not mentioned in this report, and it's an important waterway that comes all the way down the western border of the property. And there is a dirt road right next to it. And they're proposing to pave the dirt road, which I don't know if you can pave next to an intermittent stream or not, but I was told by Todd Elliott, the grading inspector here in the county, that it had to be 30 feet away, the road. But it doesn't talk about the stream or moving the road in the CEQA report at all. Also, just to point out, in the bottom right-hand corner where it says southeast corner of property in yellow, it's the southwest corner of the property. This is labeled wrong, this map. So that should be changed, if you can see what I'm talking about. This creek, which attaches to our property, it flows north to south from our property through the Poke Jones Cattle Pass underneath the highway. And this is a wildlife corridor. we've been there 50 years, and we've seen, foxes, possums, skunks, turtles, raccoons. They're coming down under that cattle pass. The only other place to cross the road is Middle Creek, which is a half-mile away. So this is a pretty important corridor right here for wildlife. I feel like we were told at the last Worth meeting that there'd be 10 trucks going in and out a day, though it says 2 to 5 trucks in the report we were just told. 10 trucks or 2 to 5 diesel trucks would be completely disruptive and intrusive to this wildlife corridor, I feel. And they're going to have to come in and turn around. They're in the CEQA plan. It says that they're going to store diesel at the site, right by the waterway. And they're going to be gassing up the trucks there. I don't see that, this is going to protect this waterway. This waterway does run to Rodman Slough. Anyway, I know I'm going to run out of time here, so I want to keep going.
It's okay. It already expired.
Oh, okay.
You could just,
Let me
you just can kind of get to your conclusion, and we can let somebody else
The
speak.
CEQA report, I have a problem with that because the biological survey was filled out by a former employee of the tribe, Lawrence Ray, worked for the Scotts Valley tribe for 2 years, 2011, 2013. And I feel like that report is very important. It should be objective and unbiased. And I don't know if you have a relationship with the people doing the development, how unbiased and objective that report could be, but that CEQA report was filled out by him.
Okay.
And he says that there'll be no visual impact, very little impact to wildlife. I don't think that's true. And also, I just want to say that there's no operating facilities that we can go look at. There are none. There's just a demonstration facility. But where is there one facility like this in operation that we can go look at? There's no historical data to tell us how safe this is. If there's particulates that are in the air, there's no way to know if it's safe. So let's not wait till it's too late to find out.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for letting me go over.
Sure. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Larry Kahn. I own the property on the eastern border of this project. And I've seen ever since the county took over this property, it's been mismanaged so many different ways. And I think this is just another mismanagement. First of all, their idea of having a plant right there is within of the 1,000-foot mark to my house. And that's I think against the rules from what I understand. So that's why I'm against, one of the reasons why I'm against it. Another reason is the prevailing winds come from that direction. Any kind of pollutants, noise is going to come right into my house. Not happy about that. This last year, my property taxes were raised like $6,000 a year without any warning. And I think it should go down the other way because they're destroying my property values. When I moved there, it was a beautiful vineyard. And when the county took over that property, the first thing they did was allow the grapes that were on the property to just die on the vine. By my calculations, they wasted about $250,000 opportunity to have someone come in and process those grapes, but they didn't. And it was further mismanaged when I had asked them a few years ago if I could lease the property and expand my hay business. I grow hay on my property, and I wanted to expand it with more acreage. Never got an answer back. I probably called E.J. Crandall 20 times And every time I got put off or deflected, and nothing ever happened. And so all of a sudden, this project comes up, and they get preferential treatment. And I just feel that, now they're getting preferential treatment, but what is the county getting? $1 a year? It just seems like it's not very good management. I would have paid a fair market value for the property to grow hay on, but they didn't seem to want that. They want to give this thing away. And who's going to monitor it after it starts going? Maybe initially it's like a car; it runs really good, but then as things break down and more pollutants start coming out, who's going to watch this thing? It's going to be an eyesore for me. It's going to be an eyesore for the community. There's no value to the county as far as I can see. $1 a year. What good is that? Right now, it's just a giant weed patch. They came in with prison labor. They cut all the vines at the ground level and just did a horrible job. There's still piles of PVC and piles of steel wire out there that they didn't clean up properly. If they had allowed me to come in there, I would have cleaned up that whole property and grown my hay on it. But I never got the opportunity. And now they're going to bring this other project in there that somewhat untested. They're creating charcoal, biochar, charcoal, but humans have been doing that for thousands of years, doing a burning process. They have a new process now, but they can't contain every bit of pollutants that's going to come out of this thing.
It's
just going to go in the air.
I hate to cut you
I
off,
know.
but your 3 minutes did expire, so
I
if you
heard the
could
beep.
just, my mic is off. Your 3 minutes has expired, but if you could just kind of get to your conclusion, and we will have someone else speak.
Well, in conclusion, I just feel that this is going to affect my property and my ability to enjoy the property in a negative way. I don't see any positives whatsoever. That's about it.
Okay. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm John Laboito. I've been farming in Upper Lake for about 12 years. I'm one of several people, previous gentleman, who approached the county asking if we could lease this property. I got permission from Mr. De Leon to go out there and explore it. I can't describe how terribly the county approached this vineyard removal when they could have leased the vineyard for production. There are piles and piles of trash. The vineyard removal is incomplete. The vines are still growing under the blackberries. I could not afford to remove the trash and complete the vineyard removal, so I didn't pursue it. However, I agree that the county could have gotten a lot more out of this property and maybe still could, and I think it would be a very reasonable condition to place on this project to make the applicant remove the trash from the entire property. Why? I mean, this project takes 5 acres, or maybe it needs 10, but there's still 30 or 40 acres that could be farmed out there. So why not ask the applicant, he's got the equipment on site, to remove the trash piles at a reasonable pace, complete the removal of the vineyard, and in some way get the rest of the property back in ag production. This is prime Williamson Act farmland. What are we talking about here? Ideally, this project would be located on an abandoned mill site in or near the National Forest. It's really an industrial project, grinding big ones into little ones. The second thing that I'll add here is I don't know why they leased the whole property. I mean, they only need 5 or 10 acres. Why lease the whole property? And I guess the last thing I'll say is gravel roads and gravel pads are really bad for farmland. I know theoretically we can scrape them off again and haul them away, but as the project winds down and the cash resources wind down at the end, they hardly ever get removed. The gravel migrates downward in the soil, and you can't use it for agriculture ever again. However, wood chips make a pretty good road, about the same size, and if they get abandoned in place, they eventually rot away, and that ground can go back to farming. So I really think you ought to, I don't know why they leased the whole property for such a cheap price, but you certainly could, I think, put some additional conditions on this, get the whole property cleaned up. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your comment. I still have public comment open if anyone wishes to speak.
I'd like to submit a presentation by a missing member of the Worth Board.
Okay, did you want to read that into the record?
I can if that works.
Yeah, absolutely. Just get closer to the mic, and if you could please just state your first and last name for me, please, one more time.
My name is Kate Parankema. That's P-A-R-A-N-K-E-M-A. I'm a present member of the Worth Board, and I'm reading a presentation or a memorandum from Claudine Petroncelli, who is also a Worth Board member, but in addition, she's on the Upper Lake United School District Board of Trustees, and she also runs the Upper Lake Senior Center, so she was not available based on her schedule to join us today. So I'm going to read her presentation, if I may.
Please do.
She said, I've been a member of the Worth at Upper Lake since 2017. We urged community members to share their concerns and opinions. Regarding biochar project, I will share my concerns. 1, there has been no data regarding emissions and air quality damage. There are 3 schools as well as several daycares in the immediate area. There is a disruption to wildlife who have created a natural habitat in what has been a pristine agricultural acreage. There is extreme traffic hazard on Highway 20 as big rigs pull in and out of the site. Destruction to Elk Mountain Road as big rigs rumble up and down the road. What will happen to the water quality as the property has a water source? The biochar project has been basically kept quiet and hidden from Upper Lake citizens. What about noise pollution? It is interesting that if the tribe has leased this 5-acre area for 2 years, why haven't they cleared and cleaned up the property? What about emissions seeping into the ground from diesel vehicles and other vehicles? She closes by saying, my hope is that this project will be studied with additional time for you on the Lake County Planning Commission to explore before granting the biochar permit from the go-ahead. With regards, Claudine Petroncelli, Upper Lake. For my own part, I believe that we're aware that Lake County seems to function in a group of silos. And I think that this is a remarkable opportunity with the Planning Commission perhaps leading the charge to break down some of the silos that seem to come about in terms of keeping information from organizations like the MAC and from some of the other citizens who don't participate through the MAC. And so I would offer that reconsideration or further hearings on this matter would be prudent. Thank you. And can I offer this?
Absolutely. Yes, you can leave that with us. We will stamp it and keep it for our records.
One other thought, I'm sorry. Back in, I understand it was 2017, and I haven't been able to verify this. Caltrans did a major resurfacing of the Highway 20 up in the Upper Lake area and adjacent North Shore. At that time, they were doing something experimental. They were grinding up old tire carcasses and introducing that into the mix that went into the roadways. And I understand the consequence of that was basically introducing as a steady state PFAs, and I can't even begin to pronounce what they constitute because it's like 5 syllables. But PFAs are presently draining into what are the headwaters that are introduced into Clear Lake. So it was a grand idea at the time, but perhaps additional resource or research and foresight could have foreseen that. But this is presently going on, and we don't need to continue that kind of trend.
Thank you for sharing your comment. Sorry. Just so we are, just so the Zoom room knows that I have not forgot about you out there, Zoom room. If you'd like to speak, you're welcome to raise your hand and we will unmute you. Let's go with the first hand we have raised. What's the name? Frank, we're going to unmute you. And if you could please state your first and last name, we'll give you 3 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you. Frank Abley. I'm with the Mendocino National Forest Upper Lake Ranger District.
Thank you, Frank.
And
we can hear you.
Great. Thank you. And first, before I make a comment, I did want to address a question that came up earlier, and that is that the Forest Service does not really have a flat level piece of ground of the size and location appropriate. Scotts Valley did actually approach us to see if they could locate it on Forest Service lands, and we just do not have a suitable site. Again, as a Forest Service employee, I cannot advocate for any individual, or oppose any individual project, but I wanted to make some comments about what we're facing on the National Forest System lands, and that is, and I think we're all aware that the Lake County has a fuels issue. During the Mendocino complex, and particularly the ranch fire up on the National Forest, what we saw over and over again is where we treated timber stands and forest stands and were able to remove the biomass from the forest. Those trees and upper canopies did fairly well in the ranch fire. Where we treated and we were not able to remove the biomass, those trees did not do very well. We lost a lot of habitat. And right now, the only way we have of removing biomass from the National Forest System lands in Upper Lake is by burning it. We have been approached by places like Wheelabrator and Anderson for biomass removal, but the haul costs are just too much to make it even economically feasible for them to do so. So any tool in the toolbox that I can use and the Forest Service can use to remove biomass from the forest floor so that we can improve the habitat and maintain a fire resilient forest would certainly be appreciated and useful to us. Removing biomass by just burning alone is a very slow and extremely expensive process, not to mention, the impacts to air quality during a prescribed fire or burning piles. And so any other method that we can use is going to be helpful.
All right. Does that conclude your comment, Frank?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for sharing your comment with us. Is there any other hands? Donna, we're going to unmute you, and if you could please state your first and last name.
Donna Mekowitz. Would like to offer some comments as GPAC and LAPAC shoreline plan. I just had a couple of comments. I didn't know if an archaeological study was performed, and is this in line with the Middle Creek Restoration Project, and does it have support of water resources? And with the road going in, we learned at the science symposium about the major runoff issues comes from road runoff. Has this been adequately looked at because it runs directly into Rodman Slough? And on page 30 of 46, we see 42 native plant species, sensitive plant species were identified, and 15 sensitive wildlife species. Just wondering if that was properly addressed. And let's see, lastly, the site soils consist of Lupayoma silt loam, which is the protected soil, and I had concerns on flooding, and I was wondering if that had properly been addressed. And thank you for letting me comment.
Thank you for your comment, Donna. Is there any other hands in the Zoom room? Okay, I still have public comment open in chambers if you're wanting to speak.
Real quick.
Absolutely. Just make sure you state your first and last name for me.
Jerry Morris, Barbara Morris' husband.
Sure. Just speak a little closer to the mic so everybody out there in the internet can hear you.
Community development. This is community undevelopment, that it's going to have the aesthetics of the whole community is going to downgrade from the good vibe in Upper Lake. It's going to diminish the whole point of the friendliness of Upper Lake. It's going to have a negative impact on the kids, the families, and you're going to be looking over your shoulder who's going to be liable for any caustic liability from whatever could happen. Traffic, air, water, who's liable? Is there going to be immunity for the tribal community that nobody's going to be able to get sued? Or who's going to be liable? The county? Are they going to be susceptible to being sued too if anything goes wrong? There's, who's going to take responsibility for any liabilities and the negativity that could occur? And just want to have that in the frame of mind of the people that are all involved with this here. It's just a negative impact for the community development of Upper Lake. There's no positivity to it whatsoever. There's no beneficial for a few jobs. It's all negative for the community. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your comment. Feel free to come on up. Sure. Don't forget to state your first and last name, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
My first name is Robert, last name is Thomas, and I'm a local community member and love for the forest. Thank you for the space, the time, the chair, planning. I just want to say thank you for being open and considering new technology and ways to improve our practices. I think I can speak for most of the people in the world that it's okay to say while change can be unsettling, the past environmental effects is the very passion that drives this intention and why we're here today to try and make a change. And I also would like to say thank you for aligning focus on the positive effects in hopes of seeing a healthier community and a healthier planet that hopefully reduces the cost, not only in monetarily, but for the young people, the generations that are coming in. Because I'd like to help restore that hope for what they're about to sit up on and what we're about to hand to them. I'm also proud of this county. While maybe small in size, taking steps to grow, it takes courage and it shows large innovation. So thank you again for the time.
Thank you for your comment. Take one last look around. Maybe not my last look. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Planning Commission and staff. Julia Carrera, Upper Lake resident, representing Upper Lake residency today. The first thing I want to do is make you aware of, and formally make you aware of, a designated dangerous public facility, which is the Upper Lake Levee System. It has been designated as unsafe and unfit and unable to carry the water it was designed for. This planning commission now holds on its shoulders a liability if you move this forward, and let me tell you why. Biochar and wood chips in a flood situation absorb water and will clog the intermittent creek as referred to, but it's really a storm drain system for the floodwaters when we flood. It's not if, it's when. It will happen. This project I am 100% supportive of. It's, I believe, wholeheartedly in positive economic and community growth which this project definitely represents. The location of this project will add to the catastrophe that the Upper Lake residents sit daily waiting to happen. The floodwaters will take those wood chips and biochar and clog up that whole drainage system into Rodman Slough, which Upper Lake depends on, so we don't sit under the 10 feet of water as designated by the feasibility study done by the Sacramento Valley Flood Commission and Water Resources. You can find it on the Water Resources website YouTube channel. It was done in December of 2021. The other issue that hasn't been discussed at all is the scenic highway debacle here in Lake County. Originally, Highway 20 was designated as a scenic highway, and there was a time when DCC did review that for scenic highway requirements. Unfortunately, due to changes of department heads over the years, that seems to have fallen through the cracks. And if you look at the state guidelines, this type of project are not allowed on scenic highways. And personally, from my perspective, if this project goes through, when we flood, we will be under 10 feet of water much longer than we need to be, because one very major drainage system will be clogged. I support all of my resident neighbors that have spoken this evening and what they've said. They're very good comments. And being prime ag lands, we should be looking at agriculture. Being in a flood zone where the county purchased this for the Rodman Slough Restoration Project, which is why probably it's only a 10 to 15-year lease. We're going to flood no matter what in Upper Lake, so I would like to see this move to half mile down the road to an industrial site there by the market, Mal Save More. That whole area is industrial, and we wouldn't have, it won't be next to a creek that's drainage for Upper Lake that's going to flood. I mean, it just doesn't make sense, the location. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing your comment with us. Does anybody else wish to speak before I close public comment? I do appreciate everyone taking the time to share your thoughts and concerns. I will check back with the Zoom room, and everyone's okay there. All right, everybody, I'm going to officially close public comment, and I will bring it back to the commission for some discussion, and if there's any questions for the applicant.
I do have some questions for the applicant. Hi.
Good morning.
So a few questions regarding air quality. Could you describe the air quality concerns from the processing of biomass? You know, what's coming out of the plant?
I will attempt to, is this on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. Tom Jordan, staff, Scotts Valley Energy Corporation. The slide we showed you, the process of creating the biochar is in the gasifier. The gasifier is a sealed chamber. There is no release of GHGs or any other kind of pollutant in this process. It is clean, neat, and as a result, there is no impact on the air quality as a result of processing biochar. Where there is the most modest of impact is in the burning of the syngas in the linear generator. If you look to page 1 of the document that I gave you today, at the bottom of that page, you will see the kinds of emissions that are coming out. For example, nitrous oxide, 1.5 parts per million. That's less than any car. To give you an example, a diesel truck running down Main Street on Upper Lake will produce in that one short journey more pollutants, more detriments, more GHGs to the atmosphere than our system would produce in a year. As it is said in that same article, the two paragraphs above, mainstream's linear generators create virtually zero criteria emissions, regardless of the fuel composition. This system will be cleaner than any gas or diesel engine in Lake County. So we are trying to introduce a clean energy system, process, and technology that has not been used in this county in any place that we know of. So I hope I've answered your question. In terms of the air quality, there is no impact. This system does not produce anything that will be detrimental to the surrounding neighbors, to the surrounding residents, to the communities. A diesel truck running past the schools in the elementary school or the high school or the middle school is going to create more pollutants, more cancerous activity to those students than this project would ever create in its lifetime.
Thank you. I did understand that. I just wanted to have it out there for the public so that they could hear it.
Okay.
But that is a very good explanation, so thank you for that. Another question that I had was regarding let me check right here. What type of pad is proposed for the equipment and for staging of vehicles?
So there is no pad. The process that we're using, because of the sensitivity of the site and our discussions with the Habematol Nation that is in this jurisdiction, and the potential that there are 2 or 3 ancient villages in the area, we are doing a surface mounting process for all of our equipment. That means it will be just set on the surface. It will be secured to the soil through anchor bolts, which are about 2 feet in length, and they screw down into the soil to hold the equipment in place. So it's a surface modification. The canopy will be set on sea containers, 2 sea containers on each side of the canopy, with them tied down and held in place, so that they sit on the surface as well. The only degradation we're doing or soil disturbance that will occur will be for a foundation to put in the 27,000-gallon water tank that the North Shore Fire Protection District seems to think we need, because he doesn't totally understand the difference between spontaneous combustion and in wood chips, as opposed to spontaneous combustion that happens in more organic material. So as a result of that, we have to put on this 27,000-gallon tank, and that will require digging down a foot to put in a foundation of concrete. So that will be about 20 by 20 feet, as I understand. So that's the only degradation. With respect to the paving, the only paving that's going to occur is in a 60-foot apron adjacent to Highway 20, and that is there so that the trucks have a potential of entering the highway safely. They can sit on that asphalted area until such time as they can make a full right-hand turn, enter safely into Highway 20, and continue down Highway 20. There'll be no left-hand turns. There will be no paved road next to the waterway that was referenced. That will be a gravel road with a new technology using what are called open, the best I can describe them are open square bricks. They're made out of plastic material, recycled plastic, which are filled in and hold the gravel in place. That is required for the Fire Protection District so that they can get a fire truck in there in the event there were a fire on the area. So that's all gravel, and that's where the gravel will be. It'll come from the apron. It'll move down on the western side of the property. We can keep it away from the drainage area. We were going to use the existing road there because it is existing, and we thought that would be the logical place to put a lane or a path for the fire trucks and for the trucks entering the premises. There was a comment that there would be 10 trucks a day. There is not going to be 10 trucks a day. The average will be 2 to 3 trucks a day bringing in material, and at most 1 truck leaving the site a day with the biochar. The biochar will be contained, as it wasn't shown up on that demonstration model, but it will be trapped or dropped into a container that is then hauled away. It will not lie on the ground. It'll be always above ground, as will the chips that'll go into the trailers that'll be moved off-site to go to another area. 1/3 or about 30% of the chips are used to power the system. We're using a clean alternative generating system to make the plant self-generating, as opposed to using a dirty fuel process such as we could have used diesel generators and run diesel generators. That's totally allowed under the zoning code, as I understand from the planning director. We're not using that. We're using this clean energy process so that we do not impact the area. I think you have to understand that the Pomo tradition here is 12,000 years old. It is very well tied to the land. That has husbanded this land for those years. It is very sensitive to the land. It is connected to the land in a way that the established culture is not as connected. And in that process, we would never want to do anything that would be injurious or detrimental to the environment. And so the way that we've pursued this operation, as we will with all our operations, is that cultural value held in mind and always tested against.
Thank you very much. And also,
I can answer some of the other questions
Okay.
that were made.
That's okay.
The wildlife corridor, again, the biological study is surveyed. There is mitigations that are put into the plan relative to making sure that the wildlife is not injured or prevented from moving through the site. We are only fencing 1 acre of the 5-acre area. The rest of our 5 acres would be unfenced, as well as the rest of the property. So we believe that there will be plenty of room and opportunity for the wildlife to continue their patterns to migrate from the north side of Highway 20 all the way down through that waterway channel and into Rodman Slough, if that's where they are going. Where they were going, we would want to make sure we protect and make sure that they have that opportunity to do so. I spoke to you about the traffic. I didn't mention that there are 22,000 passenger cars a day traveling that highway and 1,900 trucks. Our impact on that is de minimis. We're looking at 5 employees at peak period operation. That's 5 cars coming to the site on a daily basis compared to 22,000 that run that freeway. It is a small portion. Our trucks, 1 to 2 to 3 trucks a day maximum, versus 1,900 a day, again, is a small impact upon what is in that particular area. The lease cost, I do not know where they got this idea that it's $1 a day. It is not much. I agree and acknowledge but it is $100 a lay by the signed lease that we have with the Watershed Protection District. We have no problem if the watershed protection, in fact, we would enjoy to have neighbors working that site, and if they would want to release all of the land around us to farming or any other activity, we'd be totally open to that. We would support that. We would think that would be a marvelous use of that land as well. That is not in our purview. It's not our position to do so. But we would certainly support anybody who the Watershed Protection District wanted to engage and to use that land in a more productive way than where it is right now. In terms of the biochar, it is pure carbon. Our independent laboratory tests show that our value is 92 to 95, which is incredibly high. I did present samples, and I apologize for not bringing it today, of our biochar. It is a very smaller than rabbit detritus size pellets. It is ready to be used as a soil amendment using if a farmer were to use a manure spreader unit. You could use that easily to spread the material into the soil and then till it in when they did their tilling of the soil. It is ready to go. As I say, it's a pure carbon. It has no negative qualities to it, no chemical properties that would be injurious to the community or to anyone else. It does not produce dust of a significant order because, again, it is contained and moved off the site. There's this idea that we're using Elk Mountain Road. We are not using Elk Mountain Road. If you ask Frank Rabley, hopefully he's still in the chat room. The area that he is using right now to remove understory, which is the kind of a material that we're using the non-commercial understory as a fuel for our systems. That material is going to come from the area that I reference in my mind as east of Nice to Clear Lake Oaks. That is the area that Frank and his crews and contractors are using right now to remove that material, along with the wildlife and urban interface. I think if you just saw some of the messages that came out of the Glen fire, those families in those areas that did that wild risk reduction area around their homes and up into that close to the forest were easily able to be saved and that fire controlled. Frank wants to make sure that that fire doesn't come back the other way in that forest area, and that's the area that we're looking to be receiving our material in a ship form from contractors. Again, I think if you look at noise, which was a concern of Mr. Khan and the neighbor, on page 3 of the document I gave you today, I think you'll see down there that the linear generator operates at 70 dBA at 6 feet. I believe 60 dBA is the normal conversation level of two people talking with each other, so 70 is not significantly higher. At 1,000 feet, it won't be heard. The linear the gasifiers run about 99 dBA. Right next to them, 25 feet away, they drop down to 40 dBA. The zoning code, I think, allows or requires us to keep the noise down to 56 dBA at the property lines. We certainly are intending to meet that requirement, and we will take every precaution to do so. So we do not see this as a system that creates a tremendous amount of noise. I think I've answered most of the questions. Oh, hazardous material. We do not store huge amounts of hazardous materials on the property. The largest container we would have would be diesel fuel, which would be probably in the standard 50 to 55 gallon container. It itself will be held and housed in a containment unit so that if there is any leakage or breakage, it will stay within the containment unit. It will not penetrate the ground or will not surface around the ground. With respect to the flooding, again, the biochar would never be in a situation where it would be lost or able to be released in a flood, and we will take similar precautions with respect to wood chips to ensure that they do not move in a time of a flooded area, which last year I thought was a tremendously high, fast level of rainfall. And we noticed that there wasn't any serious impact on that site at that point. So while we are sensitive and acknowledge that flooding can occur, we certainly are aware that we have placed the plant in a position based upon the information that the county has given us so that we are not in the floodplain area. If that position is wrong and that needs to be recalculated, that 5-acre area can be moved again to the west or to the north, but we have made it as far to the south as we can without getting into the floodplain. So we're outside the scenic corridor. We're outside the negative impact that you see in that area. There is one condition of the application that did concern me, and that was the landscape plan requirement. I'm not quite sure why that was in there. It makes no sense that we'd have to do a landscaping of the area. We'd think that your commission would want us to keep it in the standard form and natural looking as it is now. A landscape tends to be something that's more formal. It would require removing and changing the look of that area, and we don't see why we would want to do that. It would make no sense on a site that is used on a daily basis to process wood. So we would request that that particular condition be removed. I'm happy to answer any other questions I may have created in my presentation.
Well, just in terms of visual impacts, what about the complaints about PVC pipe and steel on the property and not properly removed vineyards, that kind of thing?
That's all been done by the county and the Watershed Protection District. I don't think it's within our required lease that we remove that area. We'd certainly like to look at it. I know some of that, if you walk down the existing path, you'll see it on both sides of the path. It is the same that I see as I drive by Kelseyville Lumber every day. It's strewn up into a vineyard. It is something that should be looked at. We can consider looking at that, but it wasn't in our original idea.
I would strongly urge you to consider that kind of cleanup.
Okay.
If nothing else, as an act of good faith.
Good faith and neighborly. Absolutely. Understood.
I'm sorry, public comments closed.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
there are just a couple other details. I checked with the Caltrans website on scenic highways. It has an Excel spreadsheet of eligible as well as designated state highways for scenic highways. Currently, there are no designated highways in Lake County. It does list, though, Highway 53 from Lower Lake to Clear Lake Oaks as an eligible state scenic highway, though there has been no designation signified on their website. It also lists county designated scenic highways, and there are no Lake County designated scenic highways on the Caltrans website. And then secondly, I do appreciate the input from the Western Region Town Hall. The department highly values the input and regularly relies on our municipal advisory councils to spread the word and create awareness amongst the public, as well as serving as an advisory body. That is why commonly we send out, including with this project, we do send out our requests for review, including project descriptions, so they have early identification knowledge of the projects. We did not receive an invitation to speak on this project, but I do regularly either attend myself to any municipal advisory council where a supervisor asks for me to attend, or we send staff to speak to it. So we stand ready and available to support our municipal advisory councils because we do value their input. There were, I think, at least one of their meetings where Tom spoke about the project too. Thank you. And just so the commission is aware. But we do regularly rely on our municipal advisory councils, especially right now with the Lake County 2050, and their input is valuable. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Turner. Commissioner Chavez, do you have any other questions?
No further questions.
Okay. Commissioner Hess, were your questions answered sufficiently? Okay.
Actually, one thing about that condition of approval regarding landscaping, that prior to construction activities, a landscaping plan shall be submitted to the Community Development Department. That, I think there's a typo in there, that includes the appropriate visual screening using drought-resistant or indigenous vegetation. Water conservation shall be applied with the use of drip irrigation. I mean, that could just be as simple as just doing some kind of screening along the, what's that road there? Screen vegetation between the facility and the road, or?
I would actually recommend a conversation with the Water Resources Department, since this project does not have control over the entire parcel. Right. They are limited to the guidelines or to the lease that was signed with the Watershed Protection District.
Within those 5 acres?
Our department would be happy to work with the applicant and the department to see what their department thinks would be appropriate.
And while we're kind of on that topic, if a member of the public wanted to look into leasing the other acreage that's not being used, is that still a possibility?
As has been historically, they're always welcome to consult with the Water Resources Department. This department has zero jurisdiction over land lease.
Okay. Thank you, Director Turner. And just so you guys know, since there are only 3 of us, we are in a position where it has to be unanimous. So that's where we are at.
So the lack of a unanimous vote would effectively deny the application without prejudice.
Is my understanding.
And I'm the longest serving commissioner sitting here, and I'm always uneasy when we don't have a full house.
Yep.
And we don't have the input of all of the commissioners. And I feel that particularly strongly in this case. I would love to have Commissioner Brown here today to talk about cultural and tribal resources and the value contained therein. I take Mr. Jordan at his word that the Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians is equally concerned and careful about those resources. And I feel like I have enough information to make a decision to go forward here today, but I do respect the community's comments about feeling inadequately informed. And if by continuing this measure today, we would be able to take it back up when all 5 commissioners were here, and that would create more time for more information gathering and sharing with the community, that might be productive.
I am in agreement with a continuation. I feel that the information or some information that has been brought forward today could be very useful and informative to the public and to their municipality, their committees. I too agree that it's, we have a commission for a reason with 5 of us, and this being in Commissioner Brown's district, I would like to have his, I feel like a continuance would be the best way to go about this without prejudice, so that they could come back and have an answer.
I'd also like to say that I strongly believe in this kind of project and
Absolutely.
this kind of approach to removing woody biomass from our community and generating such energy. I'm in no way opposed to the concept at all. And in fact, I think it's very forward-looking, as the gentleman sitting towards the back mentioned earlier.
And just be neighborly. If going out and having your questions answered, walking out and seeing firsthand what the 8-foot tall piece of machinery is going to be, just kind of addressing those concerns with the source might be beneficial if we were to give you guys a little bit more time before we were to make a decision make a decision for the use permit. I think giving the community another opportunity to have that communication with you would be great, with the applicant. Commissioner
Understood.
Chavez? Okay, Commissioner Chavez?
Yeah, hearing the community and how their organization, how they organize and brought all their questions and concerns to the meeting. All those concerns were heard and addressed by the applicant. So at first I was a little more concerned with all the questions that were coming out from the community there. But I feel like the applicant did a really good job at explaining and addressing a lot of those concerns. So I don't know how the community feels, if they got a lot of their questions answered, or if they feel a little more easier about the process. I'm seeing some some heads nodding there. But I agree with the rest of the commission to have more members here present and kind of take another look.
Consensus?
Is there a date certain that the director might recommend, or?
The next available meeting date is November 14th.
Okay.
We are also doing, we have a couple other items tentatively scheduled for that date, but that's our next available agenda date.
When would the MAC otherwise be meeting between now and that date?
Third Wednesday of November.
The 3rd Wednesday of November.
We could then schedule, the next available agenda meeting would be in December, on the 12th. And we have one item already scheduled, so it sounds like 9:15 would be the next, 9:20.
Well, I just want to make sure that if we create this window of time, that the time is used well, and that there would be a more detailed presentation to the community, perhaps including Director Turner, perhaps including somebody from the Community Development Department, as well as Mr. Jordan, just so that there's a more fulsome conversation with the community.
We'd be happy to attend, certainly.
Yes, or water resources or whoever they need to at that time. So what we are working on as of right now, correct me if I'm wrong, is a continuance to a date certain of 12/12. That would be December 12th, 2024, at a time certain of 9:20, giving the public the opportunity to have your MAC meeting, open the door, open that communication with community development, water resources, give the public a chance to really get their questions answered and soak it all in, and just it, like the gentleman had said earlier, change is scary, and this is something that is very new, very alien or foreign to people. But I feel like once the questions are answered and maybe a visual on how the process is ran, as far as getting the product, running it through all the machinery, and then what's left, I feel like that will answer enough questions to make everybody feel comfortable. And I do appreciate everybody coming here today and voicing your concerns, as well as Mr. Jordan answering those questions.
I concur, and I appreciate your remarks here today, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you very much. December 14th would work. December 7th would be a day of concern for me.
How about 12/12?
12/12 would work. December
Okay.
7th may not.
Okay. So I believe we are, do you need anything more formal, council? As far as a motion, as a consensus of a continuance?
Yeah, there would be a motion to continue the item to 12/12 at 9:20.
Okay.
And I so move that item 6C be continued until December 12th, 2024, at a time of 9:20 a.m.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries for a continuance to December 12th at 9:20. Thank you so much. Moving on to our non-timed items, if we have any, or possibly a wonderful department update from Director Turner.
Other than LAPAC meetings are ongoing, it's still LAPAC season. We have 2 or 3 of them next week. And I wanted to express my appreciation for Ruby. She has been taking a gazillion pieces of data on spreadsheets and cranking them out into finding appropriate meetings where we can maximize public input. So I'm very thankful. That actually concludes my report.
Excellent. And just so everybody knows, I have noticed that all of the LAPAC meetings are available on our Lake County PEG TV. So if you can't make it to a meeting and you need something and you want to fill your head with a bunch of useful information on what's going on, you're welcome to check out their YouTube channel. They have all of the area committees, as well as the Board of Supervisors meetings and our meetings here for City Council and City of Lakeport and for City of Lakeport. Other than that, I think that concludes our meeting. We will go ahead and adjourn at 11:09.